Once I get through this divorce, which was going to, I figured it would be finalized sometime during the summer, then I thought, well, I really would like to meet somebody new, because I don't want to be living by myself for the whole rest of my life. And I didn't really think that was going to happen that year, but down the line. So I wrote down, if I was going to meet somebody new, I wrote down exactly what I wanted, because I thought if I was going to write it down, I might as well write exactly what I wanted. So he had to be tall, dark, and handsome, and he had to be a professional and chiropractor or something else professional. I can't remember, attorney or whatever I wrote. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, it was very specific, and he had to downhill ski. Yeah, and I thought, was this American husband didn't work out, maybe Swedish would, because I put Swedish with a Christmas or with a question mark at the end. So that was all the other things, and there were, I mean, it was very detailed what I would like my perfect husband in the future to be. So anyway. So this was New Year's Day, and then on February 4th, I went to homecoming at the chiropractic college and met my next husband, who fit exactly the bill. And I had known him a little bit back in chiropractic school, and he had married another chiropractor and been divorced for about 8 years. And yeah, so we connected, and I mean, everything was there except, but he wasn't Swedish, but he was Jewish. So I got the last part of the word right. Yeah. Yeah. So and that's I think a really important thing is to write down what you want, because if you write down, I want to be happy. Well, what does that mean? So you have to put down specifically what you want, and it's good to put a timeline down too, because otherwise it might not happen for a long time. But it's I do that all the time. I write things down, and if you write it down, it's just unbelievable how it tends to happen. So write down, and remember, when you dream, the dreams have no limits, so you can dream whatever you want. So dreams are free. Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't ask either, and I should have. Ladies, there's a yellow slip in front of you, and if you would fill that out, we're going to have a little drawing. We've got a couple of treats for you that we can share and give away. And also, Dr. Brost had asked me today to prepare something special for you for coming out and being with us this evening. And it's what we call a health pass for the Brost Clinic. And what this would entitle you to is, if you are interested, to come into the clinic and get a complete examination, evaluation, x-rays if they're needed, a computer study of your spine, a complete doctor's report, and if it's indicated that chiropractic could help, it would include your first treatment. And that would all be for a $30 donation to Interfaith Outreach. So it becomes a real win-win. You're talking roughly $250 or plus worth of service that would be provided, but it would be our honor to be able to do that for you, and maybe open some doors and give you some tools to make some good choices while you're on this journey to the other side of your happiness.
And I want to say too, if you for some reason don't want to use this, please feel free to give it to somebody else that wants and needs it.
And thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And
don't you feel like you got a little bit of everything?
Yeah,
really
okay.
good?
yeah, and if anybody has any personal questions or something, I'll hang around for a while afterwards. Yes, it is amazing when you write things down. It is amazing how you tend to manifest what you write. Yeah. So on my card I got play.
Perfect for you.
which is really good, because I'm learning, because I've had to work so hard. I've just the last what is it now, 17 years since I got divorced, I've just had to focus so hard on working and I've had to discard a lot of things. Like I didn't watch TV, I didn't read newspapers, I didn't, I just didn't have time to anything that distracted me from what I needed to do. So this is something that's actually really good because I just am learning to play again. And I had really fun playing this morning because I have a little grandson that's how old is he now? 10 months. So he was so Tuesday mornings I hang out with him and we get to play on the floor. Yeah.
Who else wants to share that? I love the truth.
Well, and that goes right with integrity. I'm not being true to myself if I'm not taking care of myself.
Thank you.
Gotta get that in there.
I know isn't that I struggle with that because I want to work and I don't want to take time to take care of myself because I want to build this business.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go here, but I can only go so far if I don't take care of my business.
Right.
If I don't take care of myself, I take care of myself. I can do a lot longer and better. But it's really hard. I'm disciplined about working. I'm just not disciplined about not working. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So I tell my daughter-in-law, she's got chronic health issues, and I say, you're not going to help your kids, you're not going to help your husband. Because she knows it's hard on him. I said, you're not going to help anybody if you don't take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
The same with all of us,
Mhm.
right? We can't help others.
Yeah,
I
and
can't help
so-
my clients if I'm sick and feel crappy.
Right.
Well, and I remember during the divorce, a woman said to me, if you do what's best for you, it ends up being right. If you do what's right for you, it ends up being right for everybody else. And I said, no, that's not true, because that's totally backwards from what we're brought up. But son of a gun, if I'd say, no, I don't want to do that, or I'm not, I'm choosing not to do that, it ends up being right for the other person too. Sometimes they go, oh, I'm so weird. I had a friend, I said, I just can't make this appointment with you. I have no reason except that I can't do it. And she went, oh, I'm so relieved. I didn't know how I was going to get there either. So but it's backwards from what we were taught. So I have to remember that when it comes to my health too. Yeah, thank you. Does anybody else want to share their word?
We're going to let you do the drawing. Our first is our official 30th anniversary T-shirt.
Woo!
Wow.
Yay!
Which is really nice. I wear them working out all the time. It's just they're really comfy.
Ready?
Yeah.
And you have to scream and yell when you win. Gail!
All right, I'm going to wear this working out.
Oh,
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, there you go.
awesome.
That is a really nice.
And they're
that really
kind
is a
of
nice t-shirt.
Yeah, that's a good. It looks like a good size for you. Yeah, because the sizes are kind of small, but I think
Yeah.
that'll work good.
And the next is
Yeah, that'll
a really great
remind
book
you.
called Chiropractic First. This is the easiest read in the world. It's like a couple-hour read. It's all big writing, but it makes so much sense. When I first read this book, I read it going, why aren't we taught this in school? Why don't they let us know? Because it's such common sense. It's so simple. So,
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Linda.
there you are.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Arthritis. There's many different types of arthritis, but in the most common ones is like rheumatoid arthritis, which is an inflammation, a systemic inflammation. And then there's osteoarthritis or degenerative arthritis, which is the wear and tear.
That's what I've got.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, that we can really help. Is it in your spine or
It's in my hip.
in your hip? Okay. Yeah, depending on how far gone it is, because sometimes if it's really far gone,
It's mild at this point.
Oh, there you go. Well, then you come in. We'll fix you because, yeah.
Sounds good.
No, the reason why degenerative arthritis happens in the hips is that your pelvis have probably been out of alignment, so you put too much weight bearing on one hip for years, and then that hip starts to wear out because it's working too hard there. So when we have those situations by aligning your hips, and sometimes a knee or an ankle can be involved too, sometimes arches of the feet and so on. But yeah, we deal with that all the time. So if it's mild, then we can stop it from getting worse. Yeah.
Can I give a little testimonial?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but some months back, I was really, my kids kept saying, stand up straight. And I kept saying, I can't, you know, it hurts too much. Now I'm standing, just naturally walking around with much better posture, thanks to Dr. Brost. Yeah. So it helps, and that's the osteoarthritis in there.
Yeah, because you were really,
I was really, yeah.
you were
I mean,
walking like that.
It was disgusting, embarrassing.
That's fabulous that you,
Huh?
it's fabulous that you caught it and you got,
Yeah.
so it didn't get worse.
Yeah, and I, the way you were feeling when we started working with you, I don't think you would have even thought of going to Mexico.
No, I wouldn't have.
No.
I would not have gone.
Uh-uh.
Since last October, yeah. So I made it around okay. I still have to, you know, monitor myself. Osteoarthritis, yes. But it gets better all the time. Just keep working on it and exercise. Between you and the Y.
We're going to see if we can get some more free passes to the Y too. Would you like that? So you could work out before, go for a walk here before you come to the class or something like that. So we're going to see.
Super nice. I'm a member.
What's neat about that though is I realized if I thought about it, I could really make myself stand up a lot straighter. Now I'm just naturally standing up a lot straighter. It's great.
Any other questions? We've got her all to ourselves for a while.
I have a curvature, and it's something convex.
Like a scoliosis
Yeah,
curve?
scoliosis. It's kind of severe.
Okay.
And I'm worried about, Mickey made me think of this. Am I going to start, kind of walking like this? And can you do anything with that? I mean, because I think I should have been in one of those things when I was 13 years old.
Yeah, if it is an idiopathic scoliosis, then they typically start to develop right early puberty, 11, 12, 13, and if we can catch kids at that age, we can often kind of really help stop the progression. We usually can't get them totally straight, but we can help. But at your age, I've treated a lot of scoliosis patients through the years, and we can really help maintain. We can't get it straightened out at this age, but we can make sure it's balanced, so it's not out of alignment within the curve pattern, if you will, and we can sometimes get it a little bit straighter. But we can definitely prevent it from getting worse as you're aging. Yeah, and of course exercise is really important too, because if you don't have muscle tone, then to hold your spine up, then it's gonna start sagging more. So exercising is really important. Yoga is really good. Yeah.
And would also that include weight training?
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely keep working on the core muscles. Pilates is really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, there's a physical therapist in YZ at the, what is it called? A Pilates clinic down by
Minnesota.
Yeah. She's really good with scoliosis. Yeah. But getting adjusted and making sure, because a lot of times with scoliosis too, when your spine makes a little S curve, it's again can be because your hips are off level, so getting that in line and getting the joints moving better along the spine is really important.
Well, it's starting to bother me.
Yeah.
Standing and sitting for very long. So, again, I know you can't fix it, but maybe prevent.
Yeah, we can definitely get you feeling better, and we can prevent it from getting worse when you get older. Yeah. Yes.
What are your ideas on fibromyalgia, and is it fixable?
Yeah, fibromyalgia it's a newer disease. When I went to school, fibromyalgia hadn't been invented yet, but obviously it's a really common problem now, and it's so common, and obviously it's mostly women, and how long ago? Maybe 15 years ago. I really was delving into fibromyalgia and did a lot of post-grad courses and read a lot, and we have really a high success rate with fibromyalgia, because in medicine regular medicine has nothing to offer. They
Offer pain meds.
Yeah, they give you pain meds and often antidepressants and sleep medication, but that's not the answer. Fibromyalgia is an autoimmune issue, and it has to do with at some point some toxic exposure often, and it can be either somebody having lived on a farm and got exposed to chemicals, or somebody that has worked in a place where there were chemicals, or even chemicals from food or things that we are exposed to if we're more of a sensitive person. So when we treat fibromyalgia, we use chiropractic always, because that's really important, but we usually also try to figure out what's the underlying cause and how did this start and what set it off. And we often have to do a detox program and get things out of your system and start building it up with specific nutrients too. So yeah, and if you're the way you described it, the quicksand might, if you have fibromyalgia, you don't have a lot of energy, it just drains you constantly. What happens with fibromyalgia is that inside of your cells, the inside cells, there's all these little things that are in there that make a cell function, and what's called a mitochondria. It's kind of like the little furnace, if you're energy producing particle inside of the cells, and they get really super easy depleted. They don't regenerate energy inside your cells like they do in the average person. So we just have to figure out what goofed up those little mitochondria in the first place, and try to get, if it's toxins in your system of some sort, to get that out, and then give good nutrients that can help start the furnace again, so to speak. Yeah.
And you've seen it resolve?
Yeah. I had one of my fibro patients ran the Boston Marathon.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
resolved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know the book Clean? It's a detox kind of
No,
program.
there's so many books. I don't know that one.
Do you recommend one?
Well, what we use for detox, we use a Metagenics product. Metagenics has a line of detox products, which are actually the only clinically certified detoxification products in the United States. There's a whole barrage of detox products, and most of them are intestinal cleanses, which is important too, but a real detox product to bring the toxins out of your cells and your body is something that works a lot more in depth. And you have to also stimulate the liver to break down, because the toxins in your system, they have to go to your liver, and then they have to be put in a water soluble form, so it can get kicked out through your urine eventually. But it's a process called the cytochrome P450 process that happens in your liver. But basically, the liver takes a toxin and then converts it into becoming a water soluble particle. And fibro people typically don't do that well. So things that other people get exposed to toxins, we can break them down and get rid of them. Whereas a lot of fibromyalgia people just tend to accumulate more and more because they can't get rid of what's there. So we have to give specific supplements to stimulate that process in the liver, so you can actually get rid of the toxin. Yeah, and you can so you can actually, so the enzyme processes can happen correctly, so you can actually break it into a water-soluble form, yeah. So with fibromyalgia, it's chiropractic and a lot of nutritional stuff in combination, yeah.
I might be going a little far afield here, but you mentioned that it's an autoimmune disease. What about lupus? Can you offer lupus patients any help?
Yeah, a little trickier than fibromyalgia, but if we can figure out what set it off, then we can help it. Yeah.
It's not myself, it's a relative.
Yeah, because again, medicine really, and anything autoimmune, medicine just isn't good at. They're good at diagnosing it now, because a lot of things like fibromyalgia was going undiagnosed, right? It was just considered whiny women is what they. That was sort of, and there was many years when doctors, considered still to them that was what it was. It was just whiny women. But I'm not clear. And the problem with fibromyalgia is that there's no blood work, there's no blood test, so there's no objective testing. So basically you do blood work to rule out a bunch of other things like lupus and whatever. But so if all the blood work comes out fine and the patient still has these symptoms, and I mean there's certain points, I mean a lot of times you're so tender you can touch, but there's certain points that you touch, and if 11 out of however many it is, it's are tender, then the diagnosis is fibromyalgia. But basically, it's.
And then out comes that, here's the list of pain meds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good at that part of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and of course, in today's world, where everybody has been made so aware of all the pain medication, the opioids, and all that, the addictions, and from taking that, you definitely want to avoid that. Yeah. Any other questions?
When you said whiny women, I was talking to a lady, this was many years ago, and she had a full-time job, and she had 3 kids, and she went to the doctor with all these symptoms. And he told her, basically, she was a whiny woman.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just working too hard. And she said, and she was very smart, she said, if I was a man and came to you with these symptoms, what would you do? Oh, I'd run this test and this test and this test and this test. He had no idea what he just said. I mean, he was totally, and she said, I'm going to do 2 things for you. Number 1 is I'm not going to sue you, and number 2 is I'm not going to pay you. But he didn't even get it.
Yeah.
I thought that was just,
Yeah, it's a strong story.
yeah, it made me quite angry.
Yep.
So thank you for doing what you do,
Mm-hmm.
very much. Isn't this nice to be able to just sit and,
Yes.
any other questions?
Margaret, do you want to tell them about your foot?
Well,
She always tells her foot story. This is a good one too.
That's a good story.
again, talking about how long I've been in the chiropractic world, and in 2007, well, actually in 2002, I found out I was diabetic. And in 2007, I cut my right toe on a piece of glass. And thought I could heal it, I wrapped it up, bandaged it, and all of this kind of stuff. And it kept getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. And I went on a trip to my niece's wedding reception in Wisconsin, and had these adorable little sandals that I was just gotten that I was wearing. And in the car trip, my foot swelled. And we got to the hotel, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to wear these shoes, so I took it off and looked at my toe, and it was oozing, it was awful, it was terrible, it was so infected. And unfortunately, missed the reception, spent 2 days in the hotel there before I was well enough that my daughter could drive me back home. She drove me directly to the doctor, who put me directly into the hospital. And the infection was so bad, so they put me on massive doses of antibiotics. And we did that and did the treatment, and it seemed to heal up, and it took probably a year and a half
Oh, my gosh.
before it finally started to close up. And in that process, of course, I learned with diabetics, they have a lot of problem with their feet because of neuropathy and things like that. And in the process of that, I was going to the doctor, and the orthopedist finally said, we're going to have to amputate. We're going to have to take your first 2 toes. He said, because we can't stop this from what's going on. And I said, there's no other option. He said, I know of no other option. And I went back and I got hold of some chiropractic friends of mine that were also naturopaths into natural healing. And they said, okay, use colloidal silver right into the wound, and they gave me a laser wand that I put over it 3 times a day to rebuild and rejuvenate the cells. I went in 3 weeks later for my pre-op for my foot, and my doctor looked at my foot and went, what have you been doing? And I told him what I'd been doing, and it was healing up. So they went, okay, we're going to postpone the surgery. So I got through that, and then sometime later, a few years later, again, on a piece of glass, walking without shoes in my house, I got a cut on the bottom of my foot. Same sort of thing happened, only this time the colloidal silver and that was not helping it at all. Nothing was working, and I'm going, oh my gosh. Right about this time I started working for Dr. Brost. Now, in this process, other chiropractors that I knew were saying, well, we need to adjust your foot. We need to, I go, no. I was in pain constantly, and nobody was going to touch that foot. And I told Dr. Brost that, and she also said, we need to adjust your foot. I'm like, no. And I remember it was about my second week in there, and I was in for an adjustment, and all of a sudden I realized she had my foot in her hand. And the next thing I knew, it was moving. And oh my God. And that night, I realized I had more movement in my foot. So she kept adjusting it. But somehow it just wasn't getting better. And I was still going to the podiatrist. They were still trying to figure out what to do with it. And Dr. Brost suggested, let's try something. At night, when you go to bed, put raw garlic into the wound and wrap your foot.
Now she thought I was really crazy.
Sure, I was right. All of a sudden, this job that I was loving, I'm working for a witch doctor. But I was desperate, so I started doing it. And of course, cleaning it out in the morning so I could go back out into public, because I wasn't smelling like garlic all over the place. And lo and behold, with the adjustments and the movement in the circulation and the garlic, it started to heal. I go back to the podiatrist. He looks at my foot and he goes, again, what's been going on? It's finally starting to heal. I said, well, are you ready for this? So I told him what I'd been doing. My good fortune was I was in front of a doctor who was willing to listen. He was so taken because he works with a lot of diabetics who have a lot of open wounds, not just on the feet, but legs and things like that. And he actually went on the internet and researched it and came back and said, this makes so much sense because bacteria cannot live in garlic. So the garlic was killing the bad bacteria off and helping the wound to heal. So I started mid-April, and she was working on me, and now we're into July. Now, mind you, up to this point, I couldn't walk 2 blocks without having to sit down and take a break because the pain was so bad. Met a girlfriend of mine up by Lake Nokomis who was having some divorce problems. And we were sitting and talking, and all of a sudden we got up and we started walking. And the next thing I knew, Chris goes, so when were you going to tell me? And I said, what? She said, when were you going to tell me about your foot? I said, what do you mean about my foot? And she said, Margo, I've been around you for years. And she said, I know what you've been going through. She said, we just walked around Lake Nokomis. That's 3 miles.
Oh, wow.
And I went, we did. And all of a sudden, I'm like, and it didn't hurt, and I felt fine. I have not had 1 day's pain since I came to that realization in July of, 3 years ago. And no problems with it, no new sores, no new infections, nothing.
And you could have all your toast.
And you want it.
Yeah, I know. And I still, I still go in annually to my podiatrist, and he just shakes his head at me. But the thing that I remember on the first one, two things with the open wound that was so bad on my toe, is the orthopedist saying to me, I don't know what else to do. All I know is the surgery. That's what I've been taught. He said, if it's this bad and we can't fix it with medication, we operate because we don't want to take a chance on the infection spreading into your system. He said, that's what I know. That's what I've been taught. And that just rung in my ears like, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. And then they didn't bother to tell me that one of the antibiotics I was taking is known to damage the ligaments and the tendons in the foot. So I still have some problems with it, but I don't have the pain. I'm able to walk. I'm able to wear cool boots. I lived in Crocs for probably 4 years. That's all I could get on my foot. But it was getting my foot in her hand.
Now that's a recommendation, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
For the
and
garlic, which doctor? Right?
and
Well,
the
isn't that interesting? Oh, I'm sorry. Go
the
ahead.
combination of it being adjusted regularly because the circulation was starting to flow more so, and it was functioning better.
I never thought of that term, witch doctor, in this way, but isn't it interesting when women have healing things that they know that are natural, that it's called a witch?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I decided that's a cool word,
Yeah.
and I will embrace that.
Yeah.
Because, yes, so I think you get a huge round of applause. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It works when you least expect it.
And the flowers are for you to take home.
Oh, thank
They're
you.
pink
So
because
pretty.
I know Margot loves pink, so I have to get them pink.
So I like pink by association. Yeah.
I didn't
No,
know what
I
else.
like pink too. That's very nice. Thank you.
A breath of
A
spring.
breath of spring.
Yes.
Yes.
This was wonderful. This was really, everybody got questions answered. I think everybody.